My name is Antonio. I'm the co-founder of Dabble.
Santosh, Santosh Jayaram, co-founder of Daemonic Labs, the creators of Dabble as well. So Dabble is a location-based photojournal. It allows people to sort of leave postcards, virtual postcards at a location, and whenever anybody shows up at any later point in time, they actually have access to these postcards. So we have an office here in San Francisco. That's our headquarters, and we have an office in Buenos Aires, in Argentina, and about 4 hours away in Mar del Plata. And it's not rocket science. How we work in distributed teams isn't really rocket science. The rocket science really is in the change of attitude, the paradigm shift that you have to have internally, that I'm going to commit to distributed teams. I'm going to commit to these time zone differences, and I'm going to commit in the massive shift in responsibilities for communication, and making sure that all of this is bred into the organization, into the culture, that we're going to communicate often, we're going to communicate very cohesively, and then we use the same processes, right? We have Scrum, we have
So so Santosh said we have 3 offices, and basically what happens is that you have to go into a different work mode. You're going to be waking up at like 6 a.m., taking a call at 7 a.m., and that's going to kickstart your day. Then later during the day, you're going to be connected basically 24/7, but that doesn't mean that you have to be physically in one location. For instance, I work from home because I have to take early meetings often, and then I I travel here to San Francisco to meet with the San Francisco team. And I work with the founders. That's one of the reasons why we have an office here, because the founders are here. And that's very, very important for a startup, to have the people who are building the product together in one location, so that this, as you were saying, so that this face-to-face conversations happen a lot faster. So our distributed workforce are our employees, and these are the key things that they must have. They must be proactive. That means that when that they must have a lot of experience in things that they've not necessarily learned on the job. They must be proactive about learning about new technologies, how to apply them, and even if it's outside of their geographical circle of knowledge, like new technologies that are popular here in the U.S. that might take some time to get to Argentina or to wherever it is, they must know about that way ahead of time. They have to be on top of everything that is coming out and on the new technologies that are being used to develop new services. So that's the first thing, being proactive. Second thing is being able to switch from in between cultures. So they have to be able to understand the American culture, and they have to be able to, and of course they're part of their own culture. So they need that culture, but
context switching.
Yeah, right. Exactly. That bicultural notion. The third thing I would say is that they need to be flexible. They have to have a lot of experience, but at the same time they need to be really flexible so that they can understand changes that happen overnight.
No, there's no doubt that face-to-face is faster. There's absolutely no doubt about it. There is some efficiency loss as a result of this, but I think the efficiency loss is not totally the efficiency loss gets compensated in ways that are actually beneficial to the organization in a lot of ways. For example, one of the things that we found, this is my 3rd startup, his 2nd startup, and our other co-founder and CEO of the company, Pete Gettner, this is, I think, his 3rd startup as well, right? And we've done this before, and we see that what happens in an organization where everybody actually sits together, there are some efficiency losses over there that aren't taken into account. For example, when everybody decides that, hey, this is a great idea, let's jump into it, the gestation period between having that idea and actually going out and developing something is very, very short. And as a result, most times, you tend to sort of get into a tangent that then you'll have to pull back from, and you realize that, hey, you know what, we didn't think through the whole thing, we need to make some more changes, and there's this pullback. When you have a dispersed organization, there is a lot of time that you have to put up in the front end to actually communicate really, really well. You have to take into account the fact that there is a 4-hour difference. You have to take into the fact that you have to be cogent and incredibly cohesive in how you communicate your ideas, how to get things across. And when you actually build that into the system of the organization right from ground zero, when you realize that you have a dispersed workforce, you think through a lot before you actually put something out there. Now, it cuts on the time, innovation time, but you end up getting ideas, you end up getting, concepts that are put into motion after a lot of thought, you go through this buy-in process, if you will, and you don't typically do that in small startups. It's about, hey guy, let's think about this. This particular map doesn't render as well here. There's some issues here. Let's actually change this design, and then sort of everything starts rolling immediately after that. Versus us, we think through that, we pitch it to our guys in Argentina, they think through it. By the time they wake up the next day, they'll be like, hey, we didn't think about X, Y, and Z. So there's a lot of back and forth, right? So yeah, I mean, in which cases would this work? I would hazard a guess that this particular model, if you're committed to it, and if you're committed to the sort of some efficiency loss in the communication between time zones, if you're ready for that, and what you end up making up for that communication loss is really cogent, cohesive ideas, because you communicate these ideas. But if you're willing and ready for that, I think it works for pretty much all software organizations.
One of the main things that you have to look at is your purpose, right? So if you want to go and try to enter Brazil, then you should probably set up the team, to
in
be
Rio or
in
São
Brazil,
Paulo.
right? So because you have the local knowledge, the advantage of
it's going to be a lot of partying in Rio. Maybe São Paulo. Rio might be hard.
So that's the thing, right? If you're thinking about doing that, then there are a lot of cultural subtleties that translated interface is not going to get. So you need to get that local knowledge, if possible, from the very beginning. And really build that team so that they know that they're not just one team out of like 1,000 that we could hire, but it's an actual part of your core competency. Right. So that's the key difference. Making sure that wherever you're going to set up, you're not just doing it for the money.